Hello and welcome to the On Pointless Podcast. I'm your host, Curt. As always, we're going to start off with an intro question for our guests. So our question this week is, if you could be a university professor for any subject, which would you pick? Chris?
Easy answer for me, I would pick history, because history has shaped the world as we know it today.
Tron?
I would pick cars. It's my biggest hobby and passion.
Kirsten?
I would pick the class of how to waste time and make it look like you're doing stuff.
And me personally, I think I'd go with some form of film history class, just something to do with cinema. So that's our intro question for this week. Let's move on to the rest of the podcast. The first question this week. You can set up a teleporter with exactly 2 gates from anywhere to anywhere in the world. Where do you put them?
Santorini, Greece. Then I could just vacation whenever I wanted, get delicious gyros.
So put one in Victoria.
Yes.
And then one there. So
yes.
You can easily get 2 there.
Yes, and then you're already in Europe and the flights are cheap. It's just genius.
I feel like you naturally have to put one wherever you are just because
you
want to be able to get somewhere easily and then get back easily.
Do they stay there permanently, once you set them up? Just in case you, would you set it up anywhere in your hometown, or would you set it up, in your garage?
I feel like I would put it somewhere more private just for me. But yeah, once you set them, they're set. That's the only place you can go to, and you have just a pathway to there for the rest of your life and back.
Right. So then if you set it in a house and then you move, you have lost your portal to wherever you want, unless you decide to break into the person who buys your house's now house.
I guess so, yeah. So you better make sure you're in your permanent home before you set these up.
Can only you use the portal?
No, because I feel like you should be able to bring your significant others with you if you travel, because that's part of travel. So it's it's an open portal.
I think it'd be fun to have a portal, in a forest to your starting point. I mean, it would be inconvenient, but it would be if someone was filming you while you're doing this, it would look just more exciting. You'd be hiking through a forest, and then there's your portal, in the middle of nowhere. No one's ever going to find it. You only know where the portal is. It's kind of pointless, but I think it would be pretty amazing.
I think you've partially described the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like it in a forest because then someone else could discover it and they could be hiking through the forest and what is this? And then kids would go through the portal and then you'd be the weird old guy who has a portal in the forest.
But would you try and hide it? You'd have to try and hide it and disguise it so no one could find it. Running through the forest would be a good time. I feel like if you were going to take someone with you too, you have to grab their hand so you're kind of the key to get through.
You have to be connected to them?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because then it would be fun.
That's a good point.
And then somebody could be chasing you into the forest. You could grab your significant other and jump into the portal together. Or, of course, you could have it in your house and just walk into it and go wherever you want. So definitely my home base would be where I live. And then where would I go? Naming just a great vacation spot or destination seems easy. So I'm trying to think of what would be better.
It's got to be a great vacation spot that you would want to go to constantly. Personally, I feel I don't know why, I've never been there, but I'd probably put the other one in New Zealand. Because I think New Zealand is awesome. And their summer happens when our winter happens. And I think it would be nice to be able to change from summer to winter and winter to summer whenever you felt like. I'd probably just buy a house down there and live 2 lives.
So you worked in Victoria, and then you could come home in the winter, do your job, and then at night go to New Zealand, and it'd be the summer, which would be awesome.
I'm going to do this strictly for eating purposes. I'm going to put one at the door of our favorite Mexican restaurant in San Diego, California, at Catija's, strictly because I don't believe there's any good Mexican food to buy in the city that I live in. Therefore, I can always get good Mexican food.
That would be amazing.
And what's the point of a portal if not for good Mexican food?
Could your portal be because I'm thinking portal, we're probably all thinking some metal thing with some lights flashing around. Could it just be almost a mirrored image of what's there? Or how am I trying to explain it?
So you're talking a mirror that classic fantasy mirror, you look into it, you can see the other side, you touch it, now you're on the other side with your finger on it.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's liquid almost, but everybody else just sees a mirror, so it appears, if it's in the forest, it's all reflection
of the forest. Yeah.
Why does the podcast always go back to the Matrix? Now we're talking about a liquid mirror that people are touching. It happens in every episode.
I was just going to say the Matrix. That is exactly what Neo does in the first Matrix movie. He touches it and then it engulfs him.
Oh, I would want it to be like a beautiful old carved wooden door that's like very antique looking because of the magic of the teleporting.
Could it be an antique door carved into a tree in the forest?
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
Because you said Santorini
Yes.
in Greece, and you were saying like New Zealand. Could you imagine if your portals just boom on a beach, like a tropical beach?
Yeah, you're just straight to the beach. So it's like, screw having a backyard with like a pool. You can go straight to the ocean on some tropical island like Costa Rica or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
And you would have to have your own house there, and the portal would have to be at your house there. So you'd want to get that set up so your portal was a secret there.
But if it's a portal and you can just jump in and out, you don't even need a house there. You can just go for afternoons.
That's true. Or if it's like too hot here in the summer, just go hop into the snow, dive in, cool down, get back into summer.
See, that's why I like somewhere in the southern hemisphere, so it's the opposite climate of what we have at the current time.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
I was going to say maybe putting them both in water. If you wanted to escape the winter where you live and go to a summer place, you'd have to deal with the cold water while you're going into your portal, but then all of a sudden it's warm water as soon as you cross through. So you set this portal kind of in an oceany area or a lake or something like that, and then you just dive in, you're through your portal, and then you're up and you're in Thailand.
Here's the only downside. Then you don't want to go home for 6 months.
That's true.
Also, would it freeze under the water and you wouldn't be able to access it? Like, what if, like, it's in a lake and the lake freezes and your portal is frozen? Do you have to dig out a hole to get into it?
We've just made the worst horror movie ever. It's trapped in a frozen lake under a sheet of ice.
Like, would you couldn't teleport, would you just become part of the frozen lake?
That'd be the most confusing crime scene. They'd find a dead body underneath a sheet of ice with no holes in the ice wearing, like, Hawaiian shorts.
Yeah.
Like, what happened here? Moving on to our next question. You have to pick 3 people for a competition without knowing what it is. Who are they?
I'm going to try and cover my bases. So I'm going to pick Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson because he's strong and he's personable. So if he has to give a speech or do a strength competition, I mean, who wouldn't want to get a hug from The Rock after you've done something good or bad?
He would encourage you either way.
Yeah, The Rock is a good answer. He'd be super sweaty, though. I've seen him, his workout videos. The guy just pours sweat. But that might just be part of the fun.
What if you're not working out? What
Right.
if it's just like, I don't know, a hug competition?
Oh, a hug competition. That seems so family friendly. I love it.
Can they be alive or dead?
Just alive.
Just alive. I'm going to pick Bill Gates because he brings a lot of money to the table. He's also extremely smart. Has a lot of charities and stuff like that. And then I would have to pick somebody artsy, but I don't know a lot of artsy people. So I'm going to go with Clarice Lalonde.
Nice. Nailed it. Previous podcast guest.
Yeah, there you go.
Kirsten?
Yeah, I don't know who I would pick for sure, but you definitely have to have someone strong and agile if it was like a sports competition. And then someone super smart if it was like a maze or a puzzle or like trivia or just trying to figure out something. Like me, so I'm not helping anybody. I'm the dead weight of the team.
Well, unless the competition is like puppy knowledge, and then you don't know what it is. It could be literally anything.
It could be anything.
And then I don't know.
I did think of this, assuming, because competitions, what if it was a food competition? You have Joey Chestnut on your team. You're winning hands down. But it might not be. And then he just seems like a pretty average person beyond his ability to eat food. So that wouldn't be good. I mean, if you don't know what the competition is, and it's not really life or death, unless it is, I would just pick out 3 people you just want to hang out with. That'd be pretty fun. So if I just had 3 people to have a good time with and compete in random competitions, LeBron. Oh,
Whoa,
give me LeBron.
LeBron.
Give me LeBron. Like, you're winning everything.
He's so great.
Yeah.
Does a lot for charity.
I can't think of, like... Can you think... Who did you say?
I didn't say anybody. I said types.
Right.
Because I don't know who I would pick. Because I don't know a lot of, like... You think celebrity and famous people who are good at their things. Maybe like a Ken Jennings or that guy, that Vegas guy. The last winner of Jeopardy.
Guy?
somebody like that for like the smarts of your team, but the guy who knows how to bet as well, who made all that money quickly.
Right.
He's got the knowledge, trivia, and the sports betting knowledge too. Can't remember his name, so sorry.
So you've got Ken Jennings, the sports betting guy.
No, them. Though they're a slash.
One of the two.
Somebody who's athletic.
Athletes?
So many.
Who do you have?
Well, of course, I came up with the question, so I had more time to think about this. So, number one. I don't remember his last name. His first name's Les. He was that guy who ran that show called Survivor Man. Because that guy's got all sorts of weird knowledge about everything.
His knowledge is vast and random.
Yeah, so I'm definitely thinking Les. Now, if it's some form of, like, talent/sports competition, I go Justin Timberlake. Because Justin Timberlake is the best person we have. He can dance, he can sing, he can act, and he's a scratch golfer. Triple threat plus golf.
There are very few people left in the world that are legit triple threats, and he is definitely one of them.
I think the only person close to him is, like, Donald Glover. But I would still take Justin Timberlake over Donald Glover.
I know not a lot of people are fans of her, but Beyonce is one too.
I would agree with that as well.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to slide in here. Beyonce's on my team. We're just hanging out.
So you got LeBron and Beyonce.
Yeah,
clearly.
Perfect.
And then my third person, of course, I would have to take somebody that was just, like, super smart. Because my team is lacking intelligence. So Magnus Carlsen, chess grandmaster, greatest chess player in the world, because he's Mr. Strategy. So he would, like, if it was an athletic thing, he'd come up with a strategy and then tell us what to do. If it was, like, a talent show, he'd be like, this is what America wants. And then if it was a smart thing, he'd run the team. And then that way I'm covered on all angles. I have smarts, brawn, and beauty.
It's a good idea.
That is a good idea.
You do cover a lot of bases with those people.
And then me. I'm the X Factor.
Who knows what Curt's gonna do?
There was a chess tournament today, and one of the grandmaster chess guys was found like on his phone in the bathroom.
I saw that. Yeah, he was cheating.
Was it?
No, that's not the guy I'm talking about. The guy I'm talking about is, like, the best chess player in the world.
It's like every time he makes a move, hit the button, run to the bathroom, click, hit the button, come back.
Yeah, no, Magnus would never cheat.
I got Braun.
You got Beyonce.
Beyonce.
Are you taking the Rock too?
I mean, I don't want to steal the Rock from you.
Can we
But
share him?
Who else would we take?
Terry Tate? Wait, not Terry Tate.
Terry Crews.
Terry Crews.
I mean, Terry Crews
Terry
is
Tate, office linebacker.
Terry Crews is a great choice. He's funny. He is athletic. He's a great hype guy.
And he can dance.
He can dance. He dances very well, and he's actually pretty smart. He helped his son build computers because it was a thing for them to do, and learned all about it with his kid.
Cute.
Yeah.
Do you need someone smart?
I mean, I probably do need someone smart.
Or, you know who else I would get? That Bear what's his name?
Bear Grylls.
Bear Grylls.
The other Survivor dude.
Yes. Because if you were stuck, like, here's a deserted island, and you have to live there now.
Right.
Here are the people you have.
Unfortunately, we said only alive people, because after you said Bear Grylls, I'd be like, if we could have Steve Irwin,
Oh.
it would just be like,
Yeah.
jumping on, like, alligators and stuff.
Yeah.
Saying crikey.
Mate.
Yeah, he would bring an excellent accent to the whole team.
Yeah.
You could just really commit that maybe it's going to be a food competition and take a celebrity chef.
Oh, that's true.
There's so many possibilities.
I'm going to lean on my abilities at that point to cook something.
That's true.
I would also go, if Chris was right and it was going to be a hugging competition, I would take Jack Black.
Oh, Jack Black would be fun.
He can kick surprisingly high.
He can. He's shockingly athletic for a big man.
I will take, as my third, Kevin Hart.
Ooh, that is
That would be a pretty fun time.
That'd be pretty good. So you, Beyonce, LeBron, and Kevin Hart
Yeah.
are all hanging out. Tron, what was yours again?
I would take The Rock, Bill Gates, and former podcast guest Clarice Lalonde.
Exactly how it's pronounced. Kirsten?
The guy who's like Ken Jennings, but not Ken Jennings.
Yep.
Can't remember his name, so sorry.
Bear Grylls.
Bear Grylls.
You don't even know their names.
Can't say their name. Some sort of athlete. Maybe Kawhi, because he just won, and that'd be cool to hang out with
And
him.
Kawhi Leonard. And again, me, I was going to take Les, the Survivor Man dude. I forget his last name. I think it's not Les Stroud. I don't remember. Magnus Carlsen, international chess champion. And, my number one, Justin Timberlake.
JD.
Pepper no longer exists. What spice do you pair with salt shakers?
Garlic.
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 Interesting.
Powerful spice. It's delicious. It goes on everything. I don't care what anybody says.
Just like powdered crushed garlic?
Yeah, powdered crushed garlic. Yeah.
I do like garlic on everything, and you can never put too much garlic in a thing for me, so I would like that.
Yeah, garlic's fair.
Yeah, that is a good answer. Chili powder? I really like chili powder. I put that in a lot of things, but that's also because I like kind of like Mexican flavorings.
Well, and like pepper, it does give it a bit of a kick. So, and pepper doesn't give it enough of a kick, so...
So we're just dropping peppercorns and not like chili peppers.
Yeah, just like, you know how you have salt and pepper shakers? It's always ground black pepper, basically.
Right.
So...
Fair.
Cumin?
Cumin.
Potentially? Yeah. I think so.
Cumin's good. It's in a lot of different cuisines. It's pretty widely used across the world in pretty much everything.
Interesting.
But garlic, though.
I would go with paprika. I really like paprika. I find like pepper, it's not super overwhelming, but it does flavor a dish just a little bit.
Smoked or unsmoked?
Smoked.
Smoked, yeah, more flavorful.
Yeah, makes deviled eggs perfect.
Wouldn't it be funny if you went to restaurants and they put salt and then just a random spice in the pepper one?
So it was like restaurant's choice.
Yeah. So it's like sometimes it's garlic. I mean, people just assume it's salt and pepper. Why do we have to just assume? Why does it have to be salt and pepper?
I agree. Like, if you went to a restaurant and it just was like, yeah, this is the salt and garlic or salt and paprika place. They have food that goes well with that. It would work like a Mexican place, right? Like you're saying, just add in chili powder and then it works well with the food. Whereas, like, you don't really put pepper on Mexican food.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how when you go to a pho place, they have ketchup-type bottles full of hoisin sauce.
Right.
Why don't we do that with spices?
I remember we went to a restaurant one time and they had like the red squeeze ketchup bottle and it was like a roasted red pepper sauce.
Where was that? That was good.
That was at the Black Hat.
Ooh, yes. Instead of ketchup, they had this roasted red pepper, and it was so good.
So it was a restaurant that served like sandwiches and fries, but instead of ketchup, they had roasted red pepper. I didn't know this, like a roasted red pepper sauce. I didn't know this until I put it on my fries.
Assuming it was ketchup.
Assuming it was ketchup. I was not disappointed. I was actually a little excited, a little fresher. Get ketchup everywhere.
Yeah, just try something new.
I do really like going into a place and seeing like a stocked sauce caddy at the end of the table. It's always nice to have tons of options.
Yeah, like when you go to a Thai place and you get the spice wheel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or a Mongolian grill place. All the sauces.
Tron might have the best answer right off the top. Garlic. It'd be hard to beat that. I think you can put garlic in basically everything.
You can. I'm trying to think of a savory dish that pepper would go on that you wouldn't throw a little bit of garlic on. Like if you're going to a steakhouse, garlic on steak, yes.
Always.
If you're going to a burger joint, garlic on your burger, yeah.
Garlic on pasta, garlic on seafood, garlic on whatever.
Exactly. You're not using your salt and pepper for sweet dishes, so you can nix all of those, and you're just thinking about savory.
I guess the only realistic solution now is the week between we've recorded this and when I release it to switch on the pepper shaker with garlic and see what my wife says.
Yeah, that's fair.
Would you rather break easily but heal really fast, or be really hard to break but not heal at all? And this question was submitted by Chara.
Like how hard to break?
You do not break easily. Like something that would break someone's bone does like 5% damage to your bone. So it'd have to happen like 20 times before your arm was broken from that.
Oh, okay.
But once your arm was broken, it will never heal.
Right.
You do not heal at all in life. Or you're like Mr. Glass from Unbreakable. Everything you do, you're constantly just like breaking bones, but they heal in like 3 days.
Oh, okay. So if I got hit by a car, it's going to break my ribs, but that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe not even, but if you got hit by a couple of cars, then yeah, it's starting to like, it's going to build up on you because it's never going to heal at all.
Right.
So your damage compounds.
Exactly, over the course of your life. So like, you'll be pretty good like into your 20s, but by your like 40s, you're going to be breaking down. And the thing is, at no point in your life are you going to feel better than you felt yesterday.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's kind of how I feel anyway, so.
Yeah, I guess I just described aging, haven't I?
Yeah. You described aging, but a little bit more aggressively.
So if I stub my toe, let's say I'm the breakable person. If I stub my toe, I probably broke my foot.
Yeah, you probably broke your toe, twisted your ankle, but your broken toe is healed tomorrow, and so is your ankle, because you're healing really fast.
But you feel the same amount of pain as you would, like, if you broke your arm and it hurts a lot, but then it heals quickly. Like, I don't know if the pain is worth the healing time. But if you don't feel as much pain, then it's totally worth it.
Well, but you would feel the pain. But that's interesting. Wouldn't it be kind of nice, though, to have, like, severe pain and be like, that's fine, it's going to be gone tomorrow?
Yes.
Yes, I don't know if having severe pain is ever a good idea. Well, you know you're kind of unbreakable, so if you're careful, you can kind of go on pretty long in your life without being hurt.
You know it, so it's funny. If you take that ability to be extremely durable and then apply it by never doing anything that tests it, you'll be, like, golden forever. Like, you're just going to keep lasting. But it's funny that you would take a thing to make sure you're, like, super strong and hard to hurt, and then making sure you were never in a situation where you would get hurt. It's like if you were super strong and you're like, I'm going to use this to never lift an object.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, with it, the injuries compounding, maybe that is what you would do, and you would just feel great for your entire life.
If you're 80 and you break a hip, does it heal the next day?
There'd be diminishing returns, I think, on the healing, because...
With aging.
Yeah, like, it would still be faster than the regular person by a lot. It'd be, like, 5 times faster than the regular person, but you can't be, like, an 80-year-old and, like, just never die because you constantly heal always.
No, fair. But, like, I know hip injuries are a big one in the senior citizens community. So I feel like that would help if you could heal quickly.
I mean, you'd be so used to breaking... If you're so breakable, you'd be so used to breaking your hip, it would just be like, shoot, I'll shake this off in a few days.
I was going to say, being breakable could be like a pretty sweet party trick, too. Just like, hey, look at me, throw yourself out a window. And then he's laying there, and then all of a sudden you're back at the party, like, the next day, if your parties are going a day long. But
As
maybe...
they do.
Well, yeah, you would do it at, like, I don't know, what is it, Burning Man? Is that the big music festival nowadays? You'd be like the Incredible Breaking Man?
Or Coachella.
Coachella, that's what it's called now. The kids these days.
It's the
Those are different ones, though.
Those are
festivals.
different.
Burning Man still exists?
Oh,
Burning Man's still a big thing, yeah. They still do art cars and go full on. It's like 3-5 days, something like that. Yeah.
Fire is the bad one.
Fire. Yeah.
I think I would definitely break easily and then heal because I'm always hurt because I'm very clumsy. I constantly stub my toe and walk into walls and fridges and things.
but with you being breakable and clumsy, you're going to walk into a wall and break your shoulder. And then it's going to take you 3 days to recover from your broken shoulder.
But I'm so clumsy anyways, though. Like, I feel like if I'm not breakable and I'm constantly stubbing my toe, then I'm going to deteriorate faster.
See, I have a little bit of a problem because I'm a very lucky person that's never broken a bone. So I don't know what it's like to have a broken bone. I don't know what that pain is.
I've never broken a bone either, but I walk into a lot of things.
I would go with being unbreakable. I mean, your body breaks down anyway, so over the long term, like, of not being breakable, it would have more of a positive impact on your life. Like, if you're always breaking, you're always going to be nursing significant injuries, even if it's just for a short time. You know, you hit your hand on a wall, and now you got broken fingers, right? And if that's going to take 2 days to recover, have you ever broken or, like, injured a finger? Like, that's going to be happening all the time. Like, 20% of your year could be made up of nursing injuries.
Well, not only that, if you're nursing one injury, you're more likely to injure something else. So if you're doing a lot of things and you've broken one hand, and now you got to wait 3 days for that to heal, and then all of a sudden you break your other hand, now you have no hands and a buffer period where you've got nothing. And then one hand comes back, and what if you're just so clumsy you break the other hand again? So you're constantly cycling back and forth. I'm going to agree with the being pretty much unbreakable.
I think I'd also go with unbreakable, just the quality of life. Like, while you're alive, it would be good. And eventually you get to the point where you're so broken, you just be like, okay, I'm done. I'm just going to sit there, drink through a straw, and stare at a computer screen. And you'd be old anyway, so.
Yeah.
Unbreakable.
Okay, similar to our previous segment in which we all pitched a movie, which was very popular, we're all going to invent a sport right now by pitching one idea at a time and then putting it together. So, let's go with one idea. Chris?
A sport is nothing without a ball or an object that has to be moved to score a point or a basket or whatever. So the sport has to have a ball.
Tron?
It also has to be played on something, whether it be a court or a pitch, grass or turf. So let's go with a circular turf field.
Kirsten?
It's going to be co-ed, definitely. Even number of boys and girls on each side.
I think there's going to be 5 teams.
Just throwing a wrench into it. I like the co-ed idea because they're, besides mixed doubles tennis, I can't think of off the top of my head any co-ed sports. I'm going to give them all baskets to defend.
So in that case, they need a ball that can go up and doesn't get stuck on the ground. I'm going to give them a soccer-sized football that you can pick up and throw, but you can also kick.
3 hoops?
Through 3 hoops?
On
I
each.
think so. Yeah, that's a good idea. Have multiple hoops, because if you have 5 teams, have we determined how many people are on each team?
We haven't determined how many people
because I think
there
that's
are.
going to make a difference.
Though, see, not to take away from your idea, but I was thinking something different. Basically, all sports are about scoring.
Yes.
What if this sport was about not being scored on? So you don't gain points by scoring on someone else. You lose points by being scored on. So you're going to team up with 1 or 2 of the other teams to go after and attack another team in their quadrant. But once they're out, their section of the court is closed. So eventually you want to make sure that no team gets too big of a lead, because it's like, oh, we're going to have to fight them in the end. So we got to take out team 2. But team 4 is they've had 2 or 3 less score to them now. Let's team up and get rid of them.
It's like Chinese checkers.
It's like Chinese checkers.
That's exactly what I was kind of thinking. If you make the court into kind of a star, you've got Chinese checkers in a way,
Well,
but you're scoring it as golf.
Yeah, you're trying to have your score be the lowest against you.
Right.
And I like that the quadrants get closed off, because eventually you're going to have different configurations that you're playing in over the course of a game, because there'll be different areas that you can no longer go into.
Yeah, it'll be forever changing. I think 5 per team is probably a good number. Get or 6, because it has to be equals.
Yes.
So 6 per team. So you get 30 people on the field.
30 people on the field, but you're only ever allowed 3 in your own zone at a time. And
Right.
the other 3 have to be spread through the other zone. So eventually, in the end, when there's 2 teams left, you'll have 6 on 6 in each zone.
And
Right.
there's creases. You can't get past the creases to score. Do you get points off if you score on the other team?
So if you get scored, you get points added for sure.
Yeah.
I think if you score a regular, whatever it is, you don't lose any points from your team. But there's a special way to score where you do get -1 point from your total.
So there's
Nice.
a bonus.
Maybe there should be 3 baskets. So you have 1 basket, larger baskets that are only going to add points to the team that gets scored on, and a smaller basket that will get points added to the team and negative points off your team.
That makes sense.
Would the basket be higher or just smaller? Do you use a different ball?
I'm thinking maybe a triangled configure of round baskets, so you have larger ones on the bottom and a smaller one in the middle of those that's higher.
Yes.
Is it full contact?
I don't think it should be full contact. Maybe a handball level of contact, where it's it's okay to box someone out and defend them, but you're not running and sprinting and tackling them.
Right, so soccer almost.
Yeah, kind of like soccer.
How do you get the ball away from an offensive player? You can just tear it out of their hands type deal?
Oh, we could do it like Australian rules football style, where when someone has it, you can wrap them up, and once it's tied up that the ball can't move, they do a reset, so they throw the ball in the air or something.
Right, so you're always trying to actively move the ball before you can get held down.
I think the best thing about this sport would be in sports when it gets down to it's almost time for the playoffs, so everyone's seeing what has to happen in the standings. Well, this would be happening, but you're playing with 4 of the other teams, so you'd make an agreement with the green team, look, I just need to finish second, you need to finish third. Let's work together and try and get purple and black out first. We can both make the playoffs, and then we'll focus on whatever. You get some weird alliances going into games, but then you backstab somebody.
That's true. The backstabbing would be the best. You'd leave your net open because you're trying to make an offensive attack with another team, and then they'll just turn around, kick it to one of their guys, and he'll throw it into your net.
I mean, realistically, the storylines on this can just be endless. I mean, you could have Cinderella stories where a team that was in dead last comes and all of a sudden finishes first because of a backstabbing incident that happened between Team 2 and Team 3.
Well, and athletes are so competitive. They would get so spiteful that they would just that's why I like the defending thing. If you didn't do anything, sometimes teams would just ignore you because they'd be oh, I'm pissed off at these other guys. But other times they'd be that team's not trying. We're going after them. It'd be really interesting to see how teams would go after each other.
True.
Yeah.
Would there only be one ball with 5 teams? Would that make it boring?
I think you have a very good point. There should be at least 2 balls, maybe 3.
Maybe 3, just because then you have like... Because if you just have one team, or everybody's trying to get one team, you'd have a really hard time trying to score. But if there's 3 different sections going on at once, like yellow versus blue, and then black versus purple, and then purple kicks the ball over and green gets it, and green and red are going at it.
What if you had 3 balls, and then when it got reduced to 2 teams, there was 2 balls? So there was 1 in each zone, unless you did good and got both into one zone.
Whoa.
And then the whole sport would be watched in a split screen. So it would just focus on the balls the entire time.
Ooh, I like it.
Right.
I think just because it's fun and we're inventing a sport anyway, we also have one ball that's occasionally interjected as the money ball, like they do in the 3-point competition in basketball. All of a sudden, that singular ball is worth double or maybe triple points.
That makes sense. And it would be like in some weird spout up top that would just kind of drop down, like a Plinko board or something, that would be like Moneyball in 1 minute, and they'd run it through the system, it would bounce around, it would just end up in a quadrant.
Exactly,
Whoa.
yeah. And then everybody's watching the money ball. It's like watching the Royal Rumble when you're watching the countdown to see who's coming out next.
And the kids in the crowd who clearly don't really care about the sport, because there's always kids at the sporting event who don't care, they would just be watching the ball bounce around on the Plinko board. They would love that.
That's true. And it would definitely have to have its own, like, Moneyball countdown. Like, in 3, 2... Like, kind of like Reboot, I'm thinking. You know, when it's, like, game happening, and then the noise changes? The music.
Makes sense, yeah.
That would happen with the Moneyball. How many periods do we have? Do we have periods or quarters?
I don't think you have any, because you're going till teams get eliminated, right? It's once they get to, like, 20 points, that team's out, and you're just going till there's 2 teams left.
Ooh. See, I don't like that strategy because potentially it could never end. So it could be like cricket, and we're taking tea breaks. You could have it where at a certain time of the game, the team with the lowest score gets eliminated. So say at like the 20-minute mark, team red has minus, we're doing minuses, right?
Yeah.
And the worst minus, yeah. So you have -4, you get eliminated at the 20-minute mark, but you could see a team at -3 and you'd be making a really hard push to get them a -1 more point.
I think you definitely go with quarters at that point. You go 15-minute quarters. If there's 5 teams at the end, there's going to be one team that doesn't get eliminated.
Yeah. So
Unless they're tied, in which case you have to go to some sort of sudden death.
And can we do a goalie in front of the triangle net?
If it's a basketball hoop type deal.
No,
How?
it's not a basketball hoop. It's like a hanging triangle
Oh,
with
I see.
2 large baskets at the bottom and a smaller basket above it. So more like a soccer net where you have to throw something into it,
Right.
or a handball net where you're trying to get something into these baskets. That's why I kind of like the goalie idea, because you could have, they could be pretty large, and then the goalie kind of has to decide.
okay, what if the goalie... I don't know if you remember American Gladiators.
Of course.
What if the goalie's on, like, the bungee cords that they were on for the one event where they have to jump around, so they're kind of out of control?
Was that game called Slingshot?
I believe so. So they're jumping in front of the net on the bungee cords,
Whoa.
trying to defend the net, but it's like, you have to take off at the right time, because if not, you're like 20 feet over it and then down below it. Like,
That, yeah,
That
sure.
is aggressive. I like it. I think we should add a strobe light for fun at this point.
call it a game.
Yeah.
What's the name of this sport?
I was thinking hangball. It's going to be hanging. The net's going to be hanging up above, right? There's not going to be anything that's there.
Handball is not bad because most sports end with ball, like football, basketball, baseball.
Hangball.
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 There we go. Hangball. It has been invented. Well, that's another episode done and dusted. Thanks again for listening to the On Pointless podcast. And if you'd like to follow us on Twitter, you can find us at on_pointless. Hope to see you there.